Hello, and welcome to Playwright, a podcast about creating and sharing new ways to play. My name is Ryan Hamann. You can call me H.
And I'm Ryan Quintal. You can call me Q, Freezing Q.
Freezing Q. That's actually kind of a bit of a nice ring to it.
Yeah,
it's cold where you are then.
Yeah, I don't know what the current temperature for you is, but we went down to -3 this past week, and boy,
that's in Fahrenheit as well, so it's a significant drop.
Right. Yeah, I don't know the trends. I never learned, of course, traditional American. I've never got my hand around the Celsius to Fahrenheit transition. I feel bad for my friends out in the UK.
Well, 32 is our freezing point, and 0 would be the Celsius freezing point, and so that's kind of a nice anchor to kind of wrap it around. But yeah, a degree in Fahrenheit isn't the same as a degree in Celsius, so if we say that it's 30 here, that means that it's something very different than 30 over there.
Absolutely. Yeah, 30 over there is, that's like 90 or something?
Not sure, actually. Yeah, I could be better at this myself. Yeah, we say over there like it isn't everywhere else in the entire world.
Yeah, that is, we're pretty good at that, aren't we?
Yeah, we are the... not the only exception, but we're of a shrinking minority of countries that still use the imperial system.
Yeah, feet and inches, man. I can eyeball an inch, but if somebody talks to me about, I don't know, a third of a meter, I start to wonder. I'm like, okay, yeah. It's kind of a ruler. It's not quite a ruler. It's amazing how these things get ingrained.
Let's get to some video game pitches. Let's just hit it right off the bat today.
Boom, bang, boom.
You are going first. What are you going to be bringing us?
Oh God, that means I need to have a redacted game at the end of this as well. Okay.
Sorry, you got plenty of time.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, my pitch actually comes from a few things. So I think I saw, because we're friends on Switch, you have also been dabbling in Super Mario 3D World on Switch.
Yeah.
Fantastic port of this game. I haven't gotten to the Bowser's Fury stuff yet. I wanted to play through 3D
that's
World.
The best part.
I know, that's what everyone's saying. But I've watched a bunch of people talk about it and seen a bunch of video of it. And I was listening to the Giant Bombcast this week. They mentioned an idea that I think we should toy around with, which is a full Grand Theft Auto size, style, whatever, open world for Mario that takes some of what Bowser's Fury is doing, but maybe also there's a, hey, look, let's just finally, maybe this is Nintendo's first game as a service. You can get into a Mario Kart and drive from point to point, or heck, go Mario Kart racing. You can, go to a tennis court and do some tennis or hit up some golf, maybe play some soccer. And yeah, you kind of have all of the Mushroom Kingdom and many worlds beyond at your disposal. So I think it could be fun to have this place truly feel interconnected, the same way that we've only ever seen it in kind of zoomed out map form before.
All right, starting the clock. That's, that is like kind of similar to what Bowser's Fury is doing. Like that is a big open world map that you're not riding a vehicle, but you're riding your weird Loch Ness monster friend around from place to place. And that's kind of one of the things that like I really, really love Bowser's Fury. Like it is just about as good of a Mario game as we've ever gotten. But I think like the only criticism I would have is that like the entire map is a water map essentially, and there's no diving underwater or anything. You're just kind of dogpaddling when you're on the surface, and it encourages you to, be on the various islands that serve as these kind of like standalone Mario Galaxy style challenges. It probably serves the purpose of like, allowing them to load areas while you're traveling between them, and it gives everything kind of a nice border that makes everything feel a bit contained. But at the same time, like being in water is kind of the least interesting part of Mario's moveset. Like they give you this other creature to ride around upon, which is great. And that does really help. You can get some great speed going. There are some good kind of obstacle courses along the way. But it would be fun to have something that is fun to kind of traverse in those in-between spaces as well, in the way that like New Donk City is in Mario Odyssey.
Totally. And we've seen them make this, Nintendo make this pivot before with Breath of the Wild. And so that actually gave me double, triple hope in a way for them being able to pull this off. But, we've been to the Mushroom Kingdom 1,000 times over the course of these Mario games, but to understand where is Bowser's Castle in relation to, Peach's Castle, and what does the Toad Kingdom look like? Like, what is that space? The Bombcast mentioned something where they were like, oh, give Mario a horse, but like, why not give Mario Yoshi? Right? And then there's power-ups for Yoshi around, and you could use the Super Mario World template of, depending on the egg that you feed Yoshi, maybe he turns into blue Yoshi and he can fly, or he turns into yellow Yoshi and he's, good for combat and that sort of thing, or becomes that crazy multicolor Yoshi, which is, I don't know, kind of a little bit of everything. But I do like the idea of, what we see often is, in Mario, very placed objects, very, designed things. And I think you could do that in spades, a la all of the temples that are in Breath of the Wild. But wouldn't it be cool to actually, you could get in that creature, what is the water creature called in Bowser's Fury?
Plessy, it's called.
Hop on Plessy. Let's go to Yoshi's Island. We're going to Yoshi's Island.
Yeah, so I think the idea of kind of packing in additional like Mario tennis and golf courses and Mario karting arenas, like that sounds really fun. That sounds like a really ideal way to like that's something that like an entire console could be built around. Like, what if all your games were spaces in a city that you could explore? Like, that's mad enough to be something that Nintendo might actually try at some point. But
yeah,
then I look at like the way that they price everything, like
right, they like unlock the carts.
We're just
for
hours
$60.
recording after we're recording hours after a Nintendo Direct just happened, and they announced that they're selling a Skyward Sword remaster for $60, which is like, that's not even a good Zelda game, and they're selling it for $60, like a remaster. Like,
yeah,
they remade Shadow of the Colossus and sold it for $40. Like, whatever.
And that was
Nintendo's
gorgeous.
Absolutely taking the piss.
Yeah,
like, there's no way that they're going to be adding that kind of value to a game that they're just going to be like, I don't know. They're going to milk it.
Yeah, we could. I mean, small aside too. I got weird vibes from that Direct of like Nintendo actually doesn't have much for us this year. Again, 2 years in a row.
We're at that point in the cycle.
Yeah. But I guess this is what we get when we get a Zelda and Mario in the same year. But the idea of like, we're thinking about so many weird things from Mario's history, right? Mario Paint, Mario teaches typing, Mario, Dr. Mario. Mm-hmm. When you see like your Assassin's Creeds or your GTAs, especially like the online world, maybe if they want to, preserve Mario in a way, you let us all kind of design Mushroom Kingdom avatars, and this is Nintendo's MMO world or something. But, and then of course they could sell us expansions for $60 each so they can piece out the functionality. But I love the idea of being able to play with all of those weird offshoots, Mario RPG, Paper Mario, and like have the mini games and the activities throughout the world, pay homage to those things. But also, like Dr. Mario is a perfectly suitable game standalone. And maybe, it's not a AAA game by today's standards, but sure, I'll go help someone that needs medicine by playing a couple rounds of Dr. Mario or something.
One of the very early pitches that we did, and I don't remember the name offhand, I'm scrolling through our website in the background to try to come up with a reference point here, but we talked about I don't remember whether we pitched it as like a Gex sequel or just something that's kind of inspired by that kind of world, but an open world platformer with several different kind of zones like you would see in Bowser's Fury eventually. It was like within a television, and so you can change the channel to affect like multiple aspects of each of these, like of the entire world at once. And so, things would be made of different materials and characters would behave differently, whether you're on like the horror channel or the nature documentary channel or the cartoon channel or the anime channel or whatever it is. Let's see if I could find.
I know. I searched for TV channel.
Yeah, here we go. Episode 4, Colorless the Chameleon.
Yes, there it is.
Yeah, I think we've gotten a bit better at naming our games since then. Maybe not. But anyways, like I think like Bowser's Fury, there has to be some sort of a transformative process. So you're not just kind of, I think having these kind of obstacle courses scattered throughout a big open world is fun, but I would love to find something that kind of remixes or recontextualizes earlier courses so you have some incentive to go back and explore them using tools or explore them in ways that you hadn't before.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too if you kind of Metroidvania Mario for a second. Like, what if Mario has to go, the opening level or the opening kind of area is all about unlocking Luigi, right? And Luigi is a very different jump. And of course now, because of Luigi's jump, he's maybe able to access new areas, and the same thing of like, that's now you've got to go and get, I don't know, in this, it's Toad or something, and Toad can kind of squeeze in between small things and introduce you to new sections of old levels even. So it's kind of like all of what Nintendo has shown themselves adept at doing all at the same time.
So you have Toad. I do like this idea of kind of like swapping characters to swap out abilities. It's kind of Donkey Kong 64 in that way. And I mean, in a way, like you could even use it, Mario Odyssey did, where you have to like capture other characters and, things that are in an immediate area. So you can kind of have a suggested pairing in a way. They do a similar thing in Bowser's Fury where you can bank up to 5 of each power-up. Yeah. So your raccoon suit, your cat suit, all these different power-ups that you have. But each
which I love, area, by the way. That's my favorite thing that I'm excited to see, because it turns Mario into almost a solve it yourself sort of thing.
Yeah. Each area, though, like the question blocks do produce like a consistent power up. And so there is one that is kind of like the, hey, hint, this is the one you're going to want for this section. But you can do pretty much anything with it. And I love in Bowser's Fury, especially, it's very open to taking shortcuts and to doing things creatively for being, one of the most restrictive movesets that Mario's ever had, being based on the 3D World engine. It allows a surprising amount of kind of platforming creativity that the player can engage with kind of on their own terms, which is very nice. But with that, we're out of time. So let's come up with a name for this game.
Man, this is the real Mario world, isn't it? But but they've used that name so many damn times.
Can't even expand it out to Galaxy because that one's taken as well.
Right.
Mario Planet is kind of sidestep.
Yeah, it's maybe this is like Journey to the Mushroom Kingdom or something like that.
Journey to the Savage Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah.
Journey to the Mushroom Kingdom is evocative. I don't think Nintendo would release a Mario game without Mario in the title, but maybe they'll become confident enough that imagery alone can sell it.
What about Super Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom, or Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom, or something like that?
Super Mario in the Mushroom Kingdom,
or just Mario.
It's kind of nice. It's
long.
It feels very kind of back to basics, which I think the series is due for. Let's get a good clean reboot. How about?
Oh man, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that they even mentioned they were like, why not have a skill tree and like have just spec out your Tanuki so you get extra flight time and more firepower, all that sort of stuff.
It's not bad, actually. I kind of like that idea. All right, let's go to my pitch for the day. And it's not entirely dissimilar, but inspired by today's Mario Golf presentation on the Nintendo Direct. An urban golf game, kind of like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, in which you can freely golf around and like an urban environment and basically like set your own holes. Like in a way, have you ever played desert golfing on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I really like how that one just kind of has like an algorithm that, you hit the ball in the hole and then the screen just kind of scrolls slightly to the right. And then your next hole is just kind of like randomly placed amongst the ground doing crazy things. And you have to figure out based on kind of what it gives you, how to knock that one in the hole. And so not necessarily like this would be like handcrafted environment, but it's more of an open world, city type of environment. Maybe you can go inside of buildings. Maybe you're encouraged to kind of like take risky shots and, but you have to find and follow your ball after you hit, like all of these things that make it a little bit more challenging. So you always have to weigh, do I want to just kind of like shoot my golf ball kind of along the streets so it's easy to keep track of and easy to get to? Or do I want to maybe try to shoot over a building, knowing that I might, or do I want to try to land my golf ball on top of a building to give me like a really good angle for the next shot, knowing that I have to go ride the elevator up to the roof and maybe find it if it had fallen into one of those like rooftop gutters, and the kind of random wacky occurrences, kind of like Mr. Bean's golfing episode. But basically I just want like all the kind of weird occurrences and the strange unlevel ground that you can find yourself in if you're trying to golf in the city. So starting the clock.
So I imagine that unless our code is really good, the ball could probably get stuck at times. So we probably, do you think that there's like kind of, all right, well, just drop a new, or do maybe I have to go and locate a golf store to buy and then drop a new ball?
Perhaps there is a mechanic for dropping a new ball and then just taking a couple strokes or something like that. Maybe you can, I mean, when you're mini golfing, I don't know if this is an official rule or just kind of a house rule, but like if it ever falls too close to the wall to where putting is just kind of a non-starter, then you can move the ball away from the wall, like the head of the putter's width. And that's all fair play. That's not an extra stroke or anything like that. So maybe there's like a certain amount of grace within a range around where the ball fell that you can either with or without a penalty, depending on where it fell, you can move it.
So I can hit this thing anywhere. Is the location of the hole always procedurally generated? Is it like finding a new thing? Because I do like the idea of it would be incredibly tricky, but what if like a golf hole appeared like on the side of a building? Like you had to somehow get like a horizontal shot.
Yeah, I don't think it would be, I think there might be able to be a procedural mode, but I would want, at least for kind of like the course of the main campaign, if there is kind of like a story mode, so to speak, for it to be kind of like crafted experiences, things that you can kind of prepare and practice for. And then maybe even in a multiplayer, you can set your own challenges for other people, kind of like Hitman or kind of like playing horse and Tony Hawk or stuff like that.
One of the things that I've always thought is interesting about golf is that concept of, hey, here is like different clubs. So you have to select your way into a club to kind of know the behavior of that club. But what if we extended that same complexity all the way out to the ball? So we allow you to like select between different size or materials of golf ball, but they're all, because we're not exactly trying to be regulation here, but do you know those old kids' toys that are kind of like gross, squishy things, but they stick to stuff? You would like take the ball and throw it up on so I wonder if like, man, if I can overshoot the hole that's on the side of the building with one of the sticky balls and it'll kind of like squish down, if you can get kind of cool physicsy stuff like that.
That'd be fun. It seems like there should also be a way to maybe be able to walk on walls, but I don't know if I necessarily, maybe if you have kind of sticky balls enabled, then you become like Spider-Man. You can walk on walls because you wouldn't want to be separated from your golf ball in a place that it's like completely unretrievable. But if it was normal physics, you have to use normal physics yourself, because obviously the golf ball can't it could get stuck in a very inconvenient place, like maybe on the top of an umbrella that you couldn't realistically stand on, in which case you'd either have to like figure it out or you could do an overhand swing maybe or you could take a penalty stroke and replace the ball.
I'm also thinking about like, could there be like, if you use the metal golf ball or like or a special material golf ball, can you also have like, you know, Iron Man magnet grip, so you can, it's a golf ball that you will never use because you can always kind of Thor hammer the golf ball back to you. So you're like, well, you know what, you can, it's almost like the you know, the golden Tanuki that they give you in 3D World, where you're like, hey, look, if you want kind of the easier run of this game, the accessible approaches, you can kind of Thor power your golf ball and try the same shot over and over.
Okay, so it'd be like a way to, like a quick retry then. I see. Yeah, that's interesting. So what if you know, we can allow some of this kind of like mystical ball magic, but like just, you know, getting back to kind of like the core, what could we do in the environment that would make like a normal, regular, you know, game of golf more interesting? You know, what would be kind of like fun scenarios to find yourself in if you're trying to golf in places that you shouldn't be golfing?
Well, what
the obvious one, like I would love to break through windows, like seeing a golf hole either inside of a big office building or on the other side of it. One of those really fancy ornate ones with the security desk at the ground and the elevators that ride up to the offices at the top. Like I would love to just kind of like slam my golf ball through one of those big sheet glass windows and, you know, watch all the destruction that it causes.
Yeah. I was even thinking to myself, wouldn't it be fun to contrast the game with like you are designing and outfitting your golfer in very like Tiger Woods PGA Tour fashion, where you're very, very dressed down, very sensible like golf clothes, but everything around you is ridiculous. I'm trying to think about that. I think it's Sapienza, right, where you can kind of hit an explosive golf ball.
Yeah, and Hitman.
and in Hitman. So I'm trying to like create that feeling of like being Hitman, being on an adjacent roof, you know, finding yourself not only having got up there, but having to make a shot. Because the thing that I'm thinking is it'd be kind of devastating to miss a shot, wouldn't it? I guess that's the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's golf.
But I mean, like if you climbed up an 80-story building and it was on and the hole was an 80-story building on the other thing, like potentially you're like, okay, well, I guess I got to go all the way down. And I mean, we wouldn't have 80 stories, but like, I guess I got to go all the way down and like get it and come back up again.
And I mean, you could use the environment to your advantage as well. You know, you could hit the ball into an elevator and then let the elevator ride up and then do a quick shot before the door closes when you're at the top. You know, there's some little elements of timing and stuff like that in there. I want it to be kind of comical in a way.
Yeah, that's fun. I think one of the things maybe with the sticky ball thing, instead of allowing you to kind of Spider-Man stick to buildings, but rather you have to kind of climb to the top and then, you know, tie your golf belt to something to kind of hang and get the right angle for the shot.
Yes. Yeah, kind of complex ways that you can interact with the environment yourself.
And I think you'd want to know maybe from the way we telegraph, like the look of the glass, whether or not you've got glass strong enough to bounce a ball off of versus to smash a ball through. You almost want to like...
Yeah, maybe you can swap out balls at that point. Like maybe if it is using kind of grounded, non-magical, non-fanciful equipment, you know, there is a difference between like really hard golf balls and golf balls that are a little bit more kind of rubbery.
And I also just like the idea of if you've got like, you know, a shelf of books or something in your way or just a window and you got to get it through the window. Could I, the golfer, walk up to that window and just smash it with my club before I make the shot? Or do I have to always have the ball like go through?
Maybe any time you take, like you swing your racket, it counts as a stroke. I'm not sure. That's interesting. I'd have to think about that because it would be kind of fun to like knock down obstacles and stuff. But then it seems like you'd want to implant mechanics that would encourage people to engage with the game in the most fun way possible. And I don't know if having like a real stop and go and prepare every last thing before you finally take your shot, momentum is the right pace for this type of game.
Yeah, you might need a more of a burnout crash mode, like, hey, you broke a window in this shot, and that, you know, bonus.
All right, let's stop it there and let's come up with a name. I mean, Golf City is fun. or New Golf City even, like it was the actual name of the place.
That would be a good Nintendo homage as well. I was going to say Destruction All-Stars, but I think that was taken recently.
We have some community correspondence today. We have a homepage submission pitch from Bobby F, who says, more of expanding on an idea. Think 2D Zelda-like. We know the standard tool. What other interesting tool idea could be incorporated into a 2D Zelda-like? So I assume this just means kind of equipment and loadout that you would get in a overhead Zelda game. What would be some kind of neat objects or tools that you could use along the way? So starting the clock there.
Before we begin, I'm going to celebrate for a second because we probably maybe only encounter this once every 50-ish episodes or so, but we've accidentally happened into a Nintendo episode, haven't we?
Yeah, in a way.
Okay, so new things I would like to see Link get in the Zelda series.
I feel like the hookshot really opened it up, like that's that is like the first real, I mean, in Zelda 1 you got like the boomerang, I get it, you got the ladder, you got the torch that could burn down bushes, like all of that seems like, yeah, if I'm going on an adventure, that's stuff that would be pretty useful to have along with me. But the hookshot is the first one where I felt like this is kind of like fantastical. It's, it gets me thinking about the space in different ways. Like now I'm thinking about like, there are gaps that I thought were just kind of natural obstacles that all of a sudden are crossable. And like, it feels exciting. And so, I'd love to find something that kind of opens up the world as much as the hookshot did.
One of the kind of forgotten to time, or mostly forgotten to time, objects that I remember getting in the Super Nintendo game and really having an affection for was the cane, the magic cane that would kind of summon platforms for you. And so I'm wondering like what a 3D modern evolution, you could argue kind of the ice power in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. It's a good one, actually.
Yeah, and it's almost like, should we keep all this sort of mystical Breath of the Wild stuff out of this? Because I feel like that took us into a whole like sci-fi realm of the thing.
I mean, Zelda's always had magic. The fact that, Link is accessing it now through an iPad instead of a magic wand, like it's kind of the same in spirit anyways.
I think I would probably like, I don't know if this is possible in a Zelda game. Maybe we've done something like this with masks, but I would love like a Metal Gear Solid style. Let me disguise myself as something inanimate.
I was thinking the exact same thing, actually. Like MGS3, you're on some kind of environment, you press a button to, or is that MGS4? I think they both had aspects. I think my specific implementation I was thinking of was from 4. Where you can like basically kind of absorb the colors of what's around you, but even going a step further, maybe you can absorb the material properties of what's around you. So, if you can absorb and store like a stone tunic. And so when you're swimming on the water, then you can sink to the bottom really quickly. Or, you can store a water tunic and maybe make, I don't know, maybe you can water plants or walk through fire or something like that.
Wow, that's a good idea. Yeah, in that way, it almost becomes like the camouflage tunic almost is not only a substitute for the different colored tunics throughout the series, but also some of the stuff that they did with the boots, like absorb some mist and get the air walking boots.
That's right. And but it's a good way of also like kind of like in A Link Between the Worlds where the items weren't permanent until kind of late in the game. Like you'd have to kind of pick and choose what you need for a specific opportunity. And you can only really carry, one at once.
Has there ever been I don't think Zelda has done this before, but I love the idea of an item that introduces some amount of environmental destruction. Potentially punching a hole through a wall for a dungeon shortcut, or maybe even breaking a hole into the ground and getting your classic, like, falling into an underground layer Zelda puzzles.
Yeah, maybe there are, like, super bombs that are rare, and they're almost like, it's almost like finding a key in a dungeon where it's like that will allow me to unlock one of 4 doors that I've encountered so far. Maybe a super bomb can basically kind of Binding of Isaac style take you through one of the walls. And so, if you're kind of paying attention to your map, if there's a room that you really want to get to, like, I can't think of a way that it would actually work, because like Zelda dungeons are so precisely designed for like a specific route. If you were just like skipping a room, like you'd need to go and visit all the rooms anyways. So I don't know if that would really, save you any time or anything like that.
What about something where we could tame or charm enemies from Zelda? Like, I would so love to be able to turn one of those big guards or a guardian or something into something that would actually do some work for me for a change.
Yeah, it can become kind of Pokemon-like in a way. Another nice thing, having played through Bowser's Fury recently, like I love the Bowser boss fights in which you grow to kind of an immense size to match Bowser's size. That as you're kind of running around this big open world, all of the stages that you have been, platforming on this entire time remain in place where they were and act as little platforms or obstacles that you can climb on top of while you're giant Cat Mario. And so like I love this kind of like shift in perspective, shift in size, shift in scale. We got a bit of that in Minish Cap when we can shrink down, but there were very few instances where you really had to like interact with the same space as different sizes. Like it would be fun if there was kind of like a small, medium, large that you could access at any time. And it would really like the world would be kind of densely enough designed to provide you kind of interesting challenges and opportunities no matter what size you were.
I also think when I think about like what Link had access to in Breath of the Wild, we have swords, but is there something just interesting to a carving knife? Something small, something so when you're finished eating your chicken, you can turn the bone into an arrow or, a dagger that has, maybe some limited durability or something, or the ability to carve yourself markers in trees and the world so that, or just the ground or whatever, to mark where you've been. Because I do know that even in, the early Zeldas, it's easy to be like, oh, wait a minute, I've checked this location 10 times already. And so I think Link being able to both everything from use that hunting knife to fashion makeshift items for himself, but to also interact with the environment in some way would be neat.
That's neat in a kind of survival game way where you're really kind of using, like especially for food leftovers and stuff like that, really using every part of the buffalo, so to speak. I'm not hugely experienced with survival games, the mechanics there within, but I think, at least according to your Discord status, you were playing some Valheim before recording this. Is this true?
My God, we need to talk about Valheim and Dyson Sphere Project at some point. But I found 2 PC games that are making me like my PC again.
Does that have any kind of like interesting tools or mechanics that we can bring into this, since it's fresh on the mind?
Yeah, that's interesting. One of the things that Valheim has, which was kind of unexpected to me, is you have to locate altars throughout the world and then have completed some sort of challenge, seemingly, right? The first one is about hunting deer, but then you need to take one of the deer trophies that you earn, offer it up as a sacrificial thing, and that spawns a boss. So we've had in Zelda the fairy wells, right? And even some things where you're like, oh, just throw money at this thing or throw a bottle in and see what happens. I wonder if there can be a mechanic where, Link at any point could kind of sacrifice or give over a core utility item in order to receive something of very different utility.
Or, to summon a challenging boss, like people who want that extra challenge can literally turn their own items against themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways, that's enough time spent on that one. Thank you very much, Bobby F., for sending that one in. That was sent to our website. But before we go into the plugs there, we have to give this one a name. I mean, this is more kind of an addition to existing, what would we call a Zelda game that is very item and tool focused, like the Legend of Zelda Tool of the Belt or something. You know?
Yeah. What if we did Legend of Zelda Bag of Secrets?
All right, that's fun.
Or
Bag
Chest of Secrets? I don't know, something Zelda-ish.
You seem like a bag kind of person.
Yeah.
Anyways, Bobby F. sent that in to our website at playwrightcast.com/pitch. You can email us, playwrightcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet us at playwrightcast.
Special thank you to PROTODOME for the use of our theme song, Hello World, off the album Blue Noise. And when you're listening to things, there are 3 other great podcasts you should go listen to. Kane and Rince, Sound of Play, and The Sausage Factory. That's interviews with developers, that is video game music, and that is long-form, deep dive, post-hype video game discussion. There's more video game out there for you, basically.
We'll never run short of video game podcasts. All right, so are you able to take us out of the show with a redacted game at this point?
I think so. So the game that I've selected has actually a massive description, but we're going to just use the beginning of it because I think it works. Today's redacted game. Redacted action is back and redacted than ever. Get hyped for the sequel to the game about Redacted and Redacted. Sorry, as the Redacted return in a redacted and chaotic 4v4 action shooter. For the first time, take the Redacted battles on the go via local multiplayer in Redacted styles. You can also compete in frenetic online matches like before.
All right, 4v4 shooter. Trying to think of... It sounds like something that's a little bit more kind of lighthearted as well. It's not something so serious like a CSGO or something like that.
There seems to be an energy to it, I would say. Yeah.
So tonally, this feels a bit Splatoon, but I think the team sizes are they 4v4? Is that? Well, I get, well, you know what? Let's guess Splatoon 2.
Damn, it was too easy this week, wasn't it?
We just got our Splatoon 3 announcement today, so it was fresh on the mind, perhaps.
I know. I thought maybe I would go for... Well, I should have done Splatoon 1 because I really wanted you to have to get into the what number game is it. I really want to torture you this week, basically.
I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that's a good one. That makes for a short episode, but that's all right. It's nice to have these sometimes, especially when I'm editing.
I'm gonna get a tough one for you. I know I'm gonna get you.
All right. Yeah, go for it. We'll want one of those early Sid Meier games that I've never played or something like that.
Yeah, Pirates and More.
We'll do Computer People or, anyways, in all sorts of games that we can draw from the past and feel thoroughly ripped off when we get the answer and say, I've never heard of this before. What are you doing?
Yeah, and Nintendo wants to charge me $60 for it. Give me a break.
Yeah, geez. All right, that'll do it for us today. Thank you all for listening.
Bye.